Welcome, warriors. Happy New Year. New year, new me. Am I all I'm supposed to be? Grab a tissue and reflect on what the new year could mean for the next step on your Thriver's journey. Let's rock. Are you walking through a storm that feels like it will never end? Do you wonder if life's storms have stolen the beauty from your life for good? You're in the right place. My name is Heather, and like you, I've been through a storm or two and wondered if life would ever be beautiful again. Here we share warriors' words, stories of discovering beauty after battles, and the worth in your wounds. Pick up your sword or boxing gloves and join the battle. Your words are powerful, my friends. Make them warrior words. Welcome back to the Warrior Words podcast. Before we dive into this week's episode, here is a review from Kim and Faith. What great thoughts! Amazing podcast. So happy I found it. I will be sure to listen to your upcoming podcasts. Thank you for sharing your gifts. Thank you, Kim and Faith. I love hearing that you enjoyed it and will keep listening to the podcast. Would you like me to read your review on an upcoming episode? Please go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review for the show. Your comments and star ratings help people find the Warrior Words podcast, and it only takes a few minutes of your time. And I'd also love to have you join the Warrior Words Facebook community. Come join us for inspirational stories, lessons learned, and beauty bombs. Just go to facebook.com/groups/warrior words and request to join. Please answer the few questions that pop up after requesting, and I look forward to getting to know you there. Now, on to the show. It's the first week in January, and you're probably hearing about manifesting your 2025, developing a whole new you, and making resolutions you know you're going to break. That's a lot of pressure. And honestly, I don't think it's the best way to start a new year. For most of my life, I didn't care about the new year. In fact, what makes January 1st different from December 31st? A minute? A second? Nothing really changes. Sure, you may buy a new calendar or planner, but nothing actually changes with that new book or the ticking of the clock. As I've gotten older and hopefully matured as a human and in my faith, I've realized that it's not whether something actually changes. It's that there's the potential for change. There's something about the crisp, clean page of a planner not yet written in, or the empty blocks on your paper or digital calendar. It holds potential. It holds promise. Anything can happen. And let's be frank, it usually does. Some things we can control, like how much we eat, drink, exercise, or yell. Others we can't, like weather, wars, illness, or other people. We can sit here in January and plan out our whole year. When and where we will vacation, when and what our big purchases will be, what projects we will accomplish, personal health goals, and all the different types of plans we like to make at the beginning of a new year. But take a moment to think back to the excitement you had at the beginning of 2024, or last year if you're listening to this later. And then look at where you were in December of that year. I'll bet, like many people, myself included, you likely accomplished some of the goals, and there were others left incomplete. So let me ask you a question. I can't hear your answer, so please be honest with yourself. Were you happier with what you accomplished, or were you more upset with what was left undone? And if it's the latter, where are you placing the blame? That one may take a bit to think about. So I'm going to ask you to reflect more on that after listening to this episode, because dead air is not a good idea on a mostly audio platform. But what I want you to consider is whether that blame is internal or external. Let me give you some examples. Are you calling yourself lazy because you didn't go to the gym enough to lose the weight? Or are you blaming other people at the gym for the atmosphere that's there? Are you criticizing yourself for not taking the time to write your book or start your podcast? Or are you blaming your children or spouse for taking up too much of your time? Internal blame or external blame? If you're always taking things out on yourself, you may want to think about why you do that. And if you're always blaming others, you may want to consider that your thoughts and actions could contribute as well. To figure, well, the point is to figure out why you didn't accomplish what you set out to accomplish. But then you can't stop there. You have to, once you figure that out, you have to change it. So this year, I'm proposing that you change your approach. So let's start with what should seem obvious, but often isn't for those of us walking through trauma. And that is to take your storm into account. So if you're going through a divorce, this might not be the best time to set a lot of goals. If you're walking through an illness or caring for someone who is, maybe a later month can become the beginning of your year. Consider what needs your attention right now and focus on that. I give you permission to turn off the noise on social media. Stop listening to all the gurus who say you should make X number of goals in each of Y number of categories. It's okay. It's okay to not have a list of goals or resolutions. Sometimes it's okay to make your goals on a day-to-day basis. And it's even okay to change your goals to fit your situation. Pivoting is a viable strategy. Now, please hear me. This is not permission to coast through your year, but it is permission to give yourself grace. It is permission to take life one day at a time when you are walking through a storm. Just make sure you keep putting one foot in front of the other. Take steps. Move forward. And now, since I know we are all human, and it's been ingrained in us that we make resolutions in January, I'd like to offer one other piece of advice. Instead of making a long laundry list of everything you want to accomplish this year, why not take a few moments and ask God what He wants for you this year? What does God want you to accomplish this year for His kingdom? And when you get your answer, say yes. Just like Noah said yes when God asked him to build an ark where there was no water. Just like Mary said yes when God asked her to consent to being the mother of Jesus. Neither one of them knew how it was all going to work out. They had faith, they trusted in God, and they said yes to his plan. So even if you're walking through a storm and you want to keep your personal goals to a minimum, God may have one or two of his own for you if you are open to listening and willing to say yes. So a little bit of a recap. Assess what happened last year. Look at why things didn't get accomplished. Determine whether you are prone to internal or external blame. Turn it into reasons, not excuses, and then change your approach. Consider your storms. Give yourself grace. And don't forget to ask God what he wants of you this year. Happy New Year, everyone. Until we meet again, armor up, fight the good fight,